solving problems using dimensional analysis. The first thing that you're going to have to do is determine the conversion factors that are given in the problem. It's going to help if you write them off to the side of the problem. So in problem 1, it says a swimmer swims 85.4 yards in 5 minutes. How many meters will he swim in 70 seconds? So from the problem, we know that he's swimming 85.4 yards in 5 minutes. So that's not something that I would have known if it wasn't given in the problem. The second step is determine what we're starting with and what we want our final answer in. So here it says how many meters, so that's what we want our answer in. We're starting with 70 seconds. So we want to go from 70 seconds to so many meters. And finally, we're going to plug in all of our conversion factors until those units cancel. So we're starting with 70 seconds. And remember, the conversion they gave me in the problem was 85.4 yards, 5 minutes. I know I'm going to need to use that conversion, and notice the time in that conversion is minutes. So I have to get my seconds to minutes. And I know that there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. Canceling units, now I'm at minutes. Now that I have 1 unit that's the same, I can say that for every 1 minute, I have 85.4 yards. Now I have yards. And again, this conversion came from the problem. So I am in length, but I want my length in meters. So you do need to recall your metric to American. And looking at that list, there's a yard to inches. For every 1 yard, it's 36 inches. I don't have a conversion, inches to meters, so I can do inches to centimeters, since that's my metric to American conversion. And 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So I'm at centimeters. I'm trying to get to meters, so it's just metric. Centimeters, meters. 1 goes with the prefix, and centi is 10 to the negative 2. Remember that we multiply across the top, divide the bottom. So I could do 70 divided by 60 times, divided by times, or just multiply everything on the top and then hit divide by 60, divide by 5. When you plug that into the calculator, make sure that you get this number. We're going to look, though, and we started with 3 significant figures. And so 18.2 meters should be your final answer. All right, let's look at another one together. On this one, remember our first step is to pull out any conversions that are in the problem. So $368 per ounce. That's a conversion. And that's all the conversions we have. We're starting with $15, and we're trying to convert it to how many grams. So we start with $15. I do have a conversion that has dollars in it, so I'm going to use this conversion right away. Since dollars is on the top, dollars has to go on the bottom. So now I just have to get ounces to grams. Looking at my metric American, I have ounces to pounds. 1 pound is 16 ounces, and I have pounds to grams. 1 pound is 454 grams. Multiplying and dividing. You should get this in the calculator. And we're going to go with 4 significant figures. Since we had 4 significant figures in here. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. Restart when you think you have it or if you get stuck. The conversion you should have had from the problem was 3 times 10 to the negative 8 centimeters is 1 argon atom diameter. It says that we're starting with 6 feet. So if we have 6 feet, it wants to know how many of these atoms. So I'm going to have to take feet to centimeters. Once I have centimeters, then I can use that conversion to find out how many atoms. Well, I can do feet to centimeters because I know feet to inches. And I know inches to centimeters. Now that I'm at centimeters, I can use my conversion. Since centimeters is on top, centimeters has to go on bottom. And multiplying and dividing, I get a very large number. And we're going to have 2 significant figures, so 6.1. Since this one we're trying to find the cost, when you put your answer in significant figures, go ahead and leave it to the tens place. So when you're dealing with money, you always have to the tens place. You don't go past the tens place, usually if you're dealing with money for an answer. So I'm going to pause the video and try this one. So our conversion factor, it says that it's $3.35 per gallon. And the car gets 25 miles per gallon. This is what I'm starting with. We want to know the cost. What is the cost to drive 405 miles? So this problem was a little bit different than problems 1 through 3 because they gave us 2 conversion factors that we're going to need to use when solving, or that we could use. We may not necessarily use both of them. They could give you extra information, but in this case, we did need to use both of them. So the first thing that we're going to start with is what they gave us, 405 miles. Since I have miles, I can use the second conversion. Now that I have gallons, I can use this other conversion. And that's all. Now I'm done with the problem. I just need to plug it into the calculator. It was already to the 10th place, or to the hundredths, and so I can solve. Just keep that as my answer. This one is the most challenging of them. If you want to go ahead and try it, go ahead and pause the video and restart when you think you have the answer. All right, on this one, it's 1,600 miles per minute. 100 grams of fuel is consumed for every 1.5 seconds. The cost of the fuel is $500 per pound. We want to send it to Mars. They tell us what the distance is, and we're trying to find the cost. So for that distance, what's the cost? So this one has 3 conversion factors that we're starting with. But we know that we have to start with the amount that they gave us that wasn't a conversion. So my distance is in kilometers, but in my conversions they gave me, it was in miles. So first step is convert kilometers to miles. I can convert kilometers to meters, and then meters to centimeters, centimeters to inches, inches to feet, and feet to mile. If you know the conversion for miles to kilometers, then you could just plug it in and have a 1-step. In this case, I don't know the kilometers to mile conversion, so I'm writing it out. So 1 kilometer is 1 times 10 to the 3rd meters. 1 centimeter is 1 times 10 to the negative 2 meters. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. 1 foot, 12 inches. And 1 mile, 5,280 feet. So if you did the mile to kilometer conversion factor, then your answer would be slightly off from the one that I'm going to give, but it's going to be the same number. So just make sure that you're showing your work, and if you ever solve it differently than I do, but it's the same thing, then remember that that's fine. Now that we have miles, we can use our conversion factor. I'm going to plug it in down here. Notice miles is on the top, so miles is going to go on the bottom. I'm at minutes. For my next conversion, I need seconds. So 1 minute is 60 seconds. So now I can use my conversion. 1.5 seconds is 100 grams. And finally, I have grams, but I need pounds. So grams, pound. 454 grams is a pound. And 1 pound is $500. Before plugging it in, double check that all your units cancel out. They do. So when I plug that in, I get a very large number. Since it's dollars, I'm going to just round to the nearest tenths place or hundredths. Usually you don't express money in scientific notation, but we're going to in this case just because it was such a large amount.